New York City's in a long and tumultuous season. You're going to go through a lot of emotions. Tonight's emotion, gratitude. Let's talk about why. Samuel, we breathed a lot of fire the last episode. We had a lot of things to say. Tonight we saw our Brooklyn Nets completely ramshackle, completely dehumanize and slaughter the Utah Jazz, a big physical team. But the most important thing wasn't the way we did it. It wasn't the ruthless way we just went in there and just lobotomized them. The beautiful thing was they saw a problem, they read my tweets, and they fixed it. Am I reading that wrong, Sam?
I mean, the biggest takeaway from this game, beyond anything that actually happened in the game, was that Nets Twitter definitely feels like they got a big win, because a lot of their prayers were answered with this game. The Bruce Brown starting, the Jared Allen starting, the team playing more physical. It was basically like they were reading Nets Twitter. It's like Steve Nash and Sean Marks basically had read Nets Twitter over the last 48 hours and were like, all right, these guys are actually onto something.
Before I go on my diatribe, why don't you tell us what we saw different? Why don't you draw a picture for us of what they did different tonight, besides besides the changes? Give us a thesis on how they corrected themselves this evening.
So look, I actually thought I'm actually going to start by taking a little bit of a pessimistic angle, which is that I actually thought, even though they started really well score-wise, I actually thought they weren't actually playing that well. I thought there were like a ton of wide open threes. I thought they got lucky on some of the rolls they got, specifically Kyrie's 2 threes. So I was a little worried when they were up 20-4 that it wasn't really a 16-point difference.
Right.
But they honestly just really kept it up, and that's what actually matters. We've seen them kind of go in and out the way we see kind of the post-mortem championship teams kind of do, where they get kind of lazy, and the Nets obviously haven't earned that right to be lazy. And they just kept fighting. I mean, Jared Allen totally if I'm Jared Allen's agent, I'm like, well, Rudy Gobert just got a $200 million contract, and I just completely outworked him.
They could have got him for Capella money. They're not getting him for Capella money now. And we could talk a little bit more about that later, but keep going.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to add as well. But I mean, honestly, I think that the only thing I want to add, about the rotation, is that we saw a lot from Nets Twitter and from articles written about, like, does Nash know what he's doing, what's going on? And to be honest, I think, and you've definitely touched on this, I think a lot of the frustration that a lot of people have had should have been more so directed at Marks than at Nash. And
Correct.
What I've seen from Nash personally is he's already made two pretty big starting lineup adjustments, and we're on game 8 of the season. Like, that's not like, Kenny basically played favorites for his time with the Nets, and basically left people in the doghouse until they basically had ripped off their chains and shackles. Like, I mean, what we've seen from Nash, the introduction of TLC into the starting lineup, which I thought was a really good change and at first started off well, and then him basically saying, like, enough of this BS. If the guys who were starting aren't going to play hard, then, like, I'm going to put in 4 new starters, and, like, it worked. And whether it's going to continue that way, I don't know, but I do think that it says something about Nash that he is willing to make changes, and I think that's where you kind of get the ex-player feel, where he just kind of knows, like, this team needed something, and he did it. But what'd you say?
I mean, look, first of all, this is the first time in the Marks era that I saw a team come out and be surprised by what the Nets ran. It wasn't just the way the roster played. It was just they were finding ways to get guys going that they haven't done in a while. It was obvious they had a practice. It was obvious they had a film session. They changed a lot. But you'll hear me say this a lot, and I hate that this has become the "we need a power forward" show. There's so much more nuance to the game than probably the least important position on the floor in modern basketball. But at the same time, it's the most important position when you have all of the components that the Nets have. The Nets need to be able to have nights that they miss. The Nets need to be able to have nights where they just play physical. And tonight you saw a little bit of what Jarrett Allen could look like if he plays with a competent four, if he actually has a front court partner. Now, when the game first started, I didn't see the lineup. I went straight off my DVR, fast forward all the pleasantries, and went straight to the tip. And at first I thought, oh my God, they put Taurean Prince back in at power forward. But they didn't. They put Jeff Green there. And Jeff Green, it's not like he had a crazy night. He didn't even play that many minutes considering, they pulled the plug on the game pretty early. 2 points, 5 rebounds. That's not going to be good enough. But just that physical presence, just that other body there that comes in on the weak side and helps, it springs Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen gave you 19 points, 18 rebounds in 31 minutes. He's only 22 years old. That kid could play 38 minutes a night for you if you wanted him to, and you need him to. I don't know what goggles they've been looking at. Maybe Kevin Durant tinted goggles. And another thing, let me take that back. We don't know, and it's not fair for us to guess that Kevin Durant is the reason why DeAndre Jordan was starting. It was I don't see any evidence of the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted, and that's what they did. I really believe that the Nets organization thought Jarrett was soft. And for me, I think that's such a wrong-headed viewpoint of Jarrett Allen, because toughness in a kid isn't measured by if a center clears him, if a center that's maybe almost 100 pounds more than him clears him out or cleans his clock. Toughness to show a kid's toughness, it's not that he shows his tattoos, throws a bunch of gang signs, screams and yells and does all this performative bullshit in front of the camera. Toughness is that kid will take a forearm in the face from a player that's 100 pounds more than him and get back up and never ask to be taken out the game and go right back and do everything he can to defend that bigger, more mature, 5 years older, 6 years older, 8 years older. This kid came into this league a teenager and never once showed signs of backing down. He just quietly went about his business. And because we can't fetishize him the way that we do most black athletes in America as some human fast twitch muscle that just all they do is just jump and act tough. This is a great kid and a great player. And I agree with Spencer Dinwiddie. I said it before Spencer Dinwiddie. This kid will be a top 5 center in this league because he does the things that you most value a center to do. You want a center to change shots, right? Run the floor, protect the rim, and grab rebounds. And he is the perfect lobs and dunk center. He gives Kyrie another dimension. He's what I like to call a reverse stretch big. And what that means is he's such a threat to just grab the ball underneath the hoop and just dunk it that you have to kind of slack off Kyrie. And I honestly, it just goes to show the way they used Jarrett Allen, the way that they made these adjustments, that the Nets the Nets coaching staff are thinking about these things. And you want to know what else? I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry, I had a lot of feelings about what happened tonight. Another important thing about tonight was that here's another reason why Steve Nash is a great hire. Steve Nash is a guy Sean Marks respects. He's a former player too. And because he was a former player, that was his team leader. That was his guy, or the guy when he played on the Phoenix Suns. So not only are they really close people, they've said it themselves that, some of the closest people they are, and it's a shock that Lloyd Price is not on this team, but he's got a head coaching job. But he probably would have worked with Nash as well. These guys are super close. They're great friends. And he could do something that Atkinson can't do. Atkinson can't go to Sean Marks and say, "Nah, man, I'm not doing this. This small ball crap is nonsense." And I'm not playing Taurean Prince like that. I'm not forcing these 3-point shooters onto the floor. He can actually go to Sean Marks and change it. So I'm happy to see Jeff Green give maybe the best front court partner that in terms of defense. I'm not saying Jeff Green is better than Kevin Durant. We'll get to that part after. But I'm saying that Jeff Green fits the profile of what you want as a power forward, a large wing. Power forwards are no longer post players. They don't have to be. If you're looking at the Knicks' success, it's all on the back of Julius Randle. If you're looking at Giannis, if you're looking at Ben Simmons, he's 6'10". He's a 6'10" point guard. Jonathan Isaacs, he's hurt. But you're talking about a mobile big that could do everything that a small forward can do. This is a new evolved league. You can't combat that player with Joe Harris. So I'm glad for the changes. I'm glad that we have a coach that can go to the GM and be like, "Listen, dude, this is not working, and we're getting our ass kicked out there." And to do it against a good team was important. Let's talk about a little bit about the bad. It just goes to show what we always say on the front office. Damn it, if the Nets had a competent power forward, how much better would they be? And tonight we didn't have a competent power forward. He wasn't he didn't play he didn't do that well, right? He didn't change our minds on where we are with them, right? But what we did see is that if you just put someone kind of big next to Jarrett Allen, he doesn't have to guard two people in the post. Talk to me a little bit about, even though if you look at what they gave us, Taurean Prince and Jeff Green, let's talk about their influence on the game before we get to Kyrie.
So I thought Prince was awesome on D. I thought that Green's defense to me didn't stick out nearly as much, but I thought Prince was excellent at guarding. Mostly guards, which I think goes to your point that he's really not a stretch four and shouldn't be playing against bigs. I thought the way he played Mitchell and Conley on all their drives were great, and I actually thought Mitchell got a ton of superstar calls that I don't think he deserves yet, and I don't think were fouls, and I found them to be particularly frustrating, especially because Prince is the type of guy that actually could use a boost, and the random foul call doesn't help his momentum. But yeah, I don't think Green's D in particular stood out to me, but he does